Hi guys, Keith Arkenberg Farms. It is now the first week of May and it's been a wet one today. It's been raining pretty much on and off all day, which is great because it hadn't rained in going on about 2 weeks. So it's been really dry out here. Currently, I don't know if you can see the Westar trucks out there. We do not have power. So, been very busy on the farm. Really haven't had time to build anything or do anything other than plant. So I think we're going to take everybody on a farm tour today. So let me show you. But first, don't forget arkenbergfarms.com. Scroll down the bottom, digital tools and training. Got a bunch of cool stuff down there. We also have the greenhouse opener kits. So we have a roll-up sidewall motor with controller and a door actuator like the one on this tunnel with controller. Very cool, very useful on the farm. Also, we're accepting people for consulting right now. I'm working with a couple people right now. I believe they are getting very good value for what we're doing with them. 1 hour call is usually what most people need, or face-to-face, sometimes more. But hey, I had to do it. That's how I'm this far. And I encourage anybody, even if the only answer you get is, hey, you're doing everything right. I had many consultants tell me that. And that's just like a 1-up. Yes, that's great. So here we go. So we're going to start off with the front of the farm at plot 1. This whole thing is planted out with beets this year. So we have our transplanted beets. These are Chiacoga, and then we've got some golden beets over here. I did some direct seeded red beets just to kind of see what the comparison is. A little bit spotty germination, but there's some good sections in there. And then more golden and more red beets here. They're finally starting to bring in their color. They grew out of the little bit of stress they were under. That's why the leaves are so red. So now we're coming into the prop house. A little bit of a mess in here, but not bad. We got the last of our tomatoes, which we planted. They're looking very sad. They really needed planted when I planted them. Got my willow cuttings going in here and some grape cuttings. So that'll be exciting if the grape cuttings take off. They're just starting to push. Got some leftover cucumbers, leftover zucchinis, and our bunching onions, which we're gonna have to wait to regrow because they got left in the field the other day when we were planting. The wind blew them out in the grass and my mom hit them with the lawnmower when she was up here mowing. Again, kale that was extra. Got some okra back there, which I'm actually starting for a friend. And then we've got our little flower section. Don't ask me what they are. I've got a bunch of them and hopefully I have enough. I have 3 beds out there. Then we come into our lettuce section. It's looking a little sad this year. My Dairy Dew 101 I got was actually an older bag, so they're getting a little yellow, but the size on them is perfect. So we've got week after week for our succession. I got to plant out our succession for this week. And here's some more flowers, which I'm not even sure if I made it. I think that's just grass growing down there. Next up is plot 3. And this one is virtually all kohlrabis. Again, we're planting landscape fabric and grouping in 3s and 4s. And I got a couple different varieties here. I've got the tags up front so I actually know what they are. Pretty comparable. We're just starting to see some bulbing going on, which is great. And then I planted 1 bed of beets because I ran out of kohlrabi starts. It's one disadvantage of plastic, or not plastic, but landscape fabric, is that these actually pushed up during the wind. But they're actually starting to grow back up through them, so I don't even know if I'm going to bother pulling them back out or not. But all in all, we've got really good growth. These things are really coming along nicely. Now we're moving into Cat Tunnel 4A, where we've got zucchinis that are planted out a couple weeks ago. They're starting to look really nice. There we are. They're just starting to take hold and take off. They're planted all the way down. Then we've got our cucumbers. So those are our slicers. We come over here, and these are mainly pickling cucumbers. Primarily doing those for ourselves so we can really batch up some nice pickles this year. They're just taking hold. You can see the yellowing on the leaves. Those were the leaves that were there before we transplanted, but they are popping up quick and getting going. Been having some issues with my hawker eyes. I'm getting horrible germination on them, or they are larger seeds and they are not going through the YYJ roller. I might have to actually change tactics and go with like X24 and put it on 2.5 inch spacing to get the densities I want, because they are just not popping up. So there's one of two things: either I got bad seed or I'm not dropping seed. So it's really, really hard to tell. Every time I test at the beginning, it looks great, but then I end up with this, which is like nothing. Now on to 4B. Got the automatic opener on it, working great. I actually pin it back so the bottom just opens and closes because I'm trying to keep everything cool in here. This was our overwintered tunnel. You can see the overwintered salad mix down here, which is kind of getting buried in the weeds. We are cropping that out and getting ready to replace. We're actually putting in bush beans. Trying in the tunnel this year, see if it's worth my while. I can tell I need to weed right now because we got the grass taken over, which happens a lot in here. And we got successions of lettuce in here. First succession up top. And then the second one, well actually the second one is up here. And the first one is down here at the bottom. We're getting beautiful growth coming in here. I mean, just look at that. Those are just awesome. Those are actually perfect. We'll probably start harvesting this bed next week. I do have a bunch of the overwintered stuff still going. It's just barely starting to bolt. I found you can still harvest it when it's bolted, as long as you get it early in the morning. And there's my dandelion field. We've already taken out, let's see, those were rows of radishes here and hawker eyes on the edge, and then we got our daikons. Daikons are just looking sweet this year. Beautiful density, beautiful packed in here. We got the rest of the carrots and beets out from this other row over here. This is arugula, which the grass is starting to work on, so I'm going to have to get the weeder in here and weed this out, which is now tall enough to do. And then I'm trying to see if our market will accept red Russian kale. Never really has in the past, but I figured, heck, I'll just give it a little bit and try it out. Be playing down at the end here before long. Got to get in there and kind of do some work on it. Now into the high tunnel, plot 5, where we once again have a beautiful roof on it. Thanks to Bootstrap Farmer for getting me the plastic so quick. It was awesome. 3 days after it was off, I had the plastic and got it back on. Just released a video last week on it. We got some direct seeded lettuce here. I believe this is like a high mowing mix or an all-star mix. I can't remember exactly. And we've interplanted our tomatoes directly into it. So I actually just forfeited where the tomatoes were and drilled in and planted my transplants. The radishes here, we just harvested this bed out all the way down. We actually interplanted our tomatoes into those as well. Those are our cherry tomatoes. So we've got a double row. When I initially planted, I left this spacing in here and over here specifically to drill in tomatoes. Did the same thing over here, but I planted spinach instead. So we got 3 rows of spinach in here, and our tomatoes. I think I put them on 18 inches double rowed, about 12 inches apart. So those will get tied up to the trellis above us once they get big enough, which it looks like they are taking hold and taking off. Planted the same zucchini I had in the other tunnel here, but did it about 2 weeks later to try to push a little bit of succession out of them. One great trick with the transplants is that if you wait a couple weeks in between planting them in the same batch, you can push a little bit of succession. Garlic's looking awesome. Very, very good. I'm very happy with the results in the tunnel. It's valuable tunnel space, but this is where I end up with it. I mean, we're getting good size stalks already, so there should be some awesome ones. The ones in between that didn't take off, and I didn't have enough because I didn't want to plant that many out, there's a line of onions down the middle. And same thing over here. We planted onions in the winter. The ones that didn't make it, we plugged bulbs in. So our little onion sets are all up and down there. And then over here on this side, we planted eggplants. They are just starting to look happy again. They did not really like coming out here. It was still a little cool, but they had to get out of their cells and get going. But they'll make it just fine. And we should have some beautiful little eggplants coming out of here. Here's a perennial plot we put out this year. I finally got a handle on this and got most of the landscape fabric down before the grass took over. I'm planting raspberries, which these are just starting to bloom. I got a mixture of primicanes and floricanes going in here. This bed right here is horseradish, which still has not popped up out of the ground. And we got rhubarb here. These are some little cheapy guys I bought, but they're looking good. And then here's the ones I actually brought in. They're actually looking really nice now. They're really starting to kick. Made the mistake. I did asparagus last year, and this was supposed to be rhubarb. I forgot. I planted asparagus here again, and here, and this is rhubarb. So needless to say, we have a bunch of asparagus growing in our rhubarb row. So that might just be a nice companion planting or a nuisance, or I'll have to dig them up. Either way, I don't care. Got the asparagus going. This will be good next season. They're really pushing. There's still a bunch of plants from last year, which I mean, they didn't do very good last year. They all got taken over by grass because they got neglected. And then I moved my clumps out of the greenhouse. I actually started from seed. So they're doing nice. I'm just waiting for the rest to hopefully pop up on me. So now we're coming out to the big field block where there's absolutely nothing except for a child digging a hole. And I've been doing some cultivation out here because I know I have horrible grass pressure on this side of the block because it just got mistreated last year. There's nothing planted in here. I just keep skimming the surface about an inch deep, just kind of stale seed bedding and trying to get the grass seed to come up. This just happened today. We got our first succession of lettuce actually out in the field. Over here we've got radishes, and then this is actually direct seeded lettuce in here. You can just see it starting out, but you also see all the grass and stuff. That's what I'm going to be battling. This bed here is going to be very questionable if we get any harvest off this or not, because the grass might just take over. Radishes here, first field planting of radishes as well. Did not time myself very good this year. I should have planted this one at the same time I planted the last one in the tunnel. That way they would have been done about a week apart. Direct seeded lettuce. This is 2 weeks younger, older than the one right next to it, and it's barely pushing. And the same thing. We've got a decent amount of grass pressure starting to push in here already. So it's going to be some fun with cultivation. Don't have to worry about cultivating the radishes at all. They'll be done before the grass gets big enough and I can knock it out. What would have probably been a lot smarter was plant the radishes on the inside, and then I could have took the tractor and just lightly cultivated this, and it would have left the lettuce on both sides, and I wouldn't have to worry about coming through here and doing it by hand. But hey, you learn every day. Then next is plot 7. We're just starting to get onions planted down this first bed out here. This is all a bunch of onion starts as well, just little onion plants. And we've got bunching onions and leeks clear down at the end where you can't see. It's rather muddy, so I'm not going to walk up there right now. Just got the peppers out. Peppers weren't too happy either. Again, I was going to plant them a couple weeks ago, but watching the weather, I got a little concerned, so I didn't. Nothing in here. This was going to be more peppers, but we did not start enough starts, so that'll be something else now. Then we come on to our cabbages. We've got beautiful famosas right here. Further down, which you'll be able to see in a bed over, are the tiaras, the little mini ones. I'll be happy to see what those things do. Then we got our broccoli. It's really taken hold. Those are starting to look real nice. They're really sizing up good. And here are the tiaras. 12 on 12 all the way down. I do have some spots where there's stuff missing. Actually had to do with the plastic was actually buffering. It didn't get tight enough, so when the wind blew, it bounced everything around and it broke a lot of the plants off. And I think the deer might have assisted me a little bit out here as well. Kale bed, looking awesome as usual. The one that does not is one I filled in a hole with. But yeah, they are just looking beautiful. Kale grows really, really good. We got two different varieties this year, a straight leaf and our usual darker bore. Nothing there. Nothing there yet. Got purple top turnips here. They're looking nice. I think I've got this set up right to where I'll get them before they try to bolt on me. Again, this is a double row of two things. We've got our daikons here, which are doing awesome outside. And then our hawkeyes here. There should be two rows of these, and you just don't see any all the way down. I was actually going to plant a couple beds of radishes in here in between them, so at least I get the few solid turnips I've got. Here's our first outdoor planting of spinach. Probably could have done this earlier, but I have the one in the greenhouse, and spinach is not a huge seller for us. Here's one thing I'm super happy about, and that is, you can't even see the darn things, beautiful, thick beds of carrots. We've got 4 rows here, a little spotty here and there, but I mean, all in all, the germination is great. This bed looks even better. Funny thing is, I believe these are all the exact same carrot seeds. So I'm not sure what the difference is between here and here. The only thing I can figure is maybe last season I planted something that did not grow here, so it's got twice as much fertilizer in it as what was here. So the idea with carrots is have a good root, not a good top. I might end up with really big tops here. I don't know, we'll see. Then finally in this bed is our potatoes. We did an intensive spacing, 6 on 6, double rowed all the way down. 2 different varieties. We've got a red and a gold, and they are just looking awesome. They finally got up. They never got frost burnt. So hopefully we get like mounds of potatoes out of here. By the amount of potato plants, I sure hope so, because they're looking awesome right now. Here's plot 8. I was lucky and got this whole thing prepped and covered yesterday before it rained. So that'll be our flower beds for this season. Got a real good lay of the plastic. I'm really happy with that. I think I finally got the mulch layer really tuned in. I am losing a bolt in it, so I'm going to have to kind of work on it. This other bed over here is probably going to be branching sunflowers that we can use in the bouquets. And then from here out, I'm going to do corn and then cover crop this whole acre block, as well as over here in 9 where the U-pick once stood. It's going to get pulled out and this whole thing is going to get cover cropped. So it's going to be a cover crop mix of cowpeas and sunflowers. I was wanting to do maybe something with buckwheat as well. Oh, that reminds me, I need to go pick up my seed. That came in 2 days ago and they called me. Here's the pathetic strawberry field. I was trying to let stuff come back in from last year. I don't know. This is the new year. It is not looking too pretty. We do have some blooms coming in. The plants are small. They've been eaten by deer. I didn't get them covered. And needless to say, this will be the last year I do strawberries out here. They just do not like the wind that I'm in, or the fact that the deer just mulch them to like nothing continuously. Once I got the fence back up and active, I think I really knocked down the deer pressure. But I mean, you can just see all the holes. You can see they use this and they walk down it and they eat everything as they go. So it's rather pathetic. So this is the time of year when I make this awesome crop plan, know exactly where I'm going, at least for like until April and sometimes into May. And then I start planting, and I keep on board with a lot of it, like plot 7 over here, but I still have things I got to fix. Like I've got a whole bed I've got to do something with. So now I just throw the crop plan out the window. All the major stuff's in. I'll start marching along this field, successfully over. The idea was there was so much grass pressure, I hope to get pushed across it before the grass really came in. Now I'm just going to have to cultivate and hope I can burn off everything on the surface. Same thing, we'll just keep marching across this field, and by the about August or so we'll start marching across again. That'll give it a chance to recoup. I might do some cover cropping. I don't know. I'm still up in the air on how I want to do it, or if I want to try to cover crop up here. I really do need to add some more organic matter and just have some other stuff growing. The soil's getting it's really hard out here to begin with, and I put down compost a couple years, but I stopped using it as much out here because we're at about a 5-degree slope downhill, and when the thunderstorms come through, it washes down and it'll start washing over the beds and wash them out real bad when the soil is really loose with compost. So I'm thinking cover crop could be a really good key to actually help me with that. But there you go, beautiful tour of the farm. So hope y'all liked your Saturday. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank y'all. Have a good day.